Here's
Maybe.
to hoping.
Okay, it says
All
now the
right.
broadcast is live.
We are now live. Welcome, George Cockrell. And for those of you watching, thanks for joining us. This is my very first interview, and this is my show, For Better Dogs. And this is my friend, George Cockrell, who is one of my favorite people. He's a great dog trainer. I love him dearly. And I'm excited to interview him tonight. This is my first interview on Facebook Live. So,
Uh-oh.
George, thank you. Thank you for coming.
So I'm getting experimented on, huh?
You are. It's okay. I'm experimenting with this myself. So for those of you that are at home, feel free to post any questions. George will take questions from
We'll take
dog
questions.
trainers, dog owners, whatever you want to know. I think, am I wrong, George? Your two favorite things besides your wife and son are cars and trucks? Hey, Valerie, how are you?
Cars, trucks, and canines. Yeah.
Cars, trucks, and canines. Right. That's awesome. George, one thing that I love about you, that I've always loved about you, is you're humble. You're a real dog trainer. Like, you're not out there on these lists trying to be the flavor of the month or the latest guru or coming up with
Not my style.
new way to reinvent the wheel. I mean, let's
Right,
face
right.
it.
If it ain't broke, why fix it? But I do try to help every single trainer that asks. I will help anybody, but I'm not going to throw it out there. They're going to just have to come and ask because I don't know. I can't even half type an email, let alone run these lists. And I used to run all the lists back in the day when they were all email when your dad was still with us. I owned a whole bunch of dog training email groups, and we used to have a ball. That's where kind of all started for a lot of the old dogs here. IACP started because of one of those groups. So I even owned all the IACP email groups for a while. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, your history though with dogs and dog training goes much further back than that. Why don't you tell us a little bit how it started? If I remember correctly, your grandfather was a dog trainer, wasn't he?
Yeah, I grew up around working hunting dogs, gun dogs, and stuff. So it's been in me forever. I made my first dollar doing this in 1977.
Damn.
I made almost $8 that night doing a group class. This was before group classes were really a thing. I mean, most group classes were done through obedience clubs and things back then, but this was an actual little kennel in College Park, and they hired me on. I worked at the gas station across the street, but I had the reputation, so they came over and said, "Hey, you want to come and do some classes?" So I started then.
So you made your first dollar training dogs in 1977.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
wow.
ma'am. And been at it pretty much ever since. I've done a few things along the way because, as you well know, you're not going to be a rich dog trainer. The ones that aren't going to last very long. They make it and run. But, I do a good living. I make more than most these days. But back then, I was turning wrenches on cars. I ran a car auction company. I drove trucks. I drove tow trucks, all while training dogs, in my other times.
So when did you make the move from, working on trucks and cars, which I know you still do? I think you're broadcasting from your garage.
Yeah, but now I do it for fun. I don't do it out of needing to feed a family. So my father died in '79, quite suddenly. And, I was the oldest male son in the home, so I had to kind of step it up and bring some money in. I had also been severely injured in a football game, so, I had to contend with that. So I turned wrenches and trained dogs. And then after a while, it became clear to me I was doing much better training the dogs. And business was just more and more and more. And I finally just made it probably around, I don't know, full-time, 84, 85 maybe, like full-time, like with nothing else.
And what would you say dog training or dog trainers were like compared to what they are today? I mean, I think that the whole attitude towards training has changed quite a bit. What have you found?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you didn't know that many other dog trainers. There weren't that many of us around. People that were doing it as a profession. There were club trainers and stuff, but you didn't have the internet and, a few books. Every once in a while you'd catch a seminar through, I used to do the dog shows, the obedience competitions and stuff. But, we were different, I feel, than today. We didn't need to be famous. No one was. This is before all these books that everybody wants to read now. I mean, this is way before all that. That everybody that's written a book in the last 20 years is somehow a dog guru now, but I've read some pretty bad books. I've read some pretty good ones too, but I've read some where I just, shake my head a little bit. They're all downstairs on a shelf. I've got them all. So.
Yeah. Trish and Dawn say hello. Oh, and the lovely Mrs. Cockrell is on. Hello, Jessica.
This view you're seeing, she sees all the time. I hang out in the garage quite a bit anyway. So, this view you're seeing, she sees pretty regularly, it's just, it's my cave, so I got to hang out in the garage.
Well, as long as you're nice and warm. I'm freezing up in New Jersey. Ugh, it's too cold for me.
It gets cold out here. I got a little space heater about 2 feet over to my right. When I need to, you'll start seeing me glow orange.
So what would you say, or who or what influenced you the most in your dog training and kind of got you to the point where you felt like, hey, I could do this? And I mean, I know you were already making money, but looking back.
Your father.
Really?
Your father, I can't say it enough, love him or hate him, because, there's people out there that do both. But your father did something in 1994 for me that stuck with me to this day and will always stick with me. And that's why I kind of from afar keep an eye on you and make sure you're all right. And, in 94, I was training at PetSmart, and I won the store associate of the year, like the top associate in all of PetSmart. And I was gifted, I got many gifts from that, but I was gifted a entry fee to go to the APDT conference. I think it was, I want to say it was in Valley Forge, Pennsylvania.
Was that in 94?
Yeah, it was in 94.
Okay. I remember that conference.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, I went there and didn't know anybody really. I mean, this was kind of before, the internet and all that stuff. And but I went there and I had my main dog at the time was Big Tug, but he wasn't feeling well at that weekend. So I took Timber, my little Aussie, and I took him and I had him in a training collar. He's a very well-trained dog, a very high-end, very well-trained dog. I'd put him up against anybody. And I'm, healing around this conference and stuff. I met so many lifelong friends that year. I met Vivian Bregman, Martin Healey, rest his soul, all these people. But anyway, I was shocked at how I was treated. I did not go in there with any attitude. I was polite and I was quiet. I didn't know anybody, so I wasn't flitting around. But your old man, I met him. He and Martin were standing there, and I met them. I introduced myself because I'm not shy, and they both, were nice to me. That's a plus. But your old man invited me to hang out with him that whole weekend. And I toddled along after you. I knew who your old man was. And let me tell you, I was like a little old puppy dog around, followed him we went to all the different talks and things together. And, he and Martin Dealey and Vivian Bregman treated me like I belonged there. Not too many others did. And that cemented your old man in my eyes. And then after that, we developed quite a relationship that I adore. He gave me advice along the way he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself and told me so. And, you know, so that's, your old man was a very heavy influence on me. So, and to this day he is. Hardly a day goes by I don't mention him at some point here or there, or, you know, talking to Jess or teaching a young trainer. Or So there you go. Kudos to you. I can't give your dad enough kudos. We'd be here 3 or 4 hours. I'd still be going on about him. But, you know, he was major. The old gun dog guys that I grew up around and seeing them with their dogs and stuff, they were heavy influences in kind of a negative way, and like they're hardcore, you know. I had to prove I was good enough, and ultimately I did. But good education. I wouldn't treat a young trainer the way I was treated, but you know, but definitely forged what you see here today. So.
But you mentioned I'm gonna do something technologically advanced here.
Oh man!
So I don't know how it's gonna work out, but wait. Oh, share screen. Okay, it's easiest with 2 monitors. Oh, it gave me this tip. Darn it! Wait.
Don't ask me to push any buttons, Babette. I ain't gonna do it.
I will. You know, I thought it was gonna be much easier. I'm not even gonna screw it up because I'll probably screw this whole thing up even worse. I wanted to show the picture of my dad and Tug because you mentioned Tug, and I know that's on your Facebook page, and I'm trying to get it up here, and I don't know how to do it. But
you know what?
Okay.
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. I might have. I don't know if this will show on my phone or not. Let me just.
It's not that far down in your Facebook photos.
Oh, it doesn't show up, man.
But it is on your Facebook profile.
It's permanently in my photo albums and everywhere else. I think I've got a framed copy of it around here. Those were 2 very, very influential beings in my development. Tug made me the trainer I am today, and your dad did too. So
he was such a great dog.
Yeah, he was above amazing. I'm sure a lot of people have the most amazing dog in the world, but I could prove it at any time. So Jess just sent up some kind of weird computer code.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess that's a link to the picture of Tug.
I ain't clicking on nothing. I'm right here.
I don't want to. We'll just leave it at that. Thank you for trying, Jess.
Hey, Jess. Okay, there you go.
Aw,
there's Dawn. She misses Cap too.
Yeah.
I ran around with Dawn for many a year too. Dawn and I go way back. So.
So where did you get Tug? Because I wanted to ask you about Tug. I remember Tug. He was such a lovely
was a
dog.
$200 backyard bred golden retriever.
And he was worth $200,000.
I had a $100,000 offer on that dog once.
I think I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah. So, and I don't sell my friends no matter what the cost.
How old was he in that picture that we have of my dad and Tug?
That was probably 2000. So he was 2, 5, maybe 4, 5, 6, 5.
Okay.
Let's see. Yeah, he was. 95. So he was that was probably 2000 when that picture was taken. 2001. So 5 or 6.
Okay.
So.
And what kind of dogs did you grow up with, George? Did you grow up with Goldens?
Yeah, all kinds of stuff. Pointers, some real rare, like some French pointers, what my dad had for a while. Beagles all over the place. German Shepherds. We did German Shepherds. I had one in particular I was legend with, Bozo. Bozo saved my life twice.
Did he really have
in armed robberies, yeah.
No kidding.
2 times, yeah.
Down there in Maryland. You never left Maryland, right?
Nope.
And
Maryland's got a little bit of everything for everybody. I got mountains to the left of me. I got ocean to the front of me. I got practically got desert. There's actually some plants that grow here that only grow in Antarctica in a swamp up in western Maryland. It's weird. They call it the Arctic swamp up there. So Maryland's got everything. Got cities, which I could do without, but.
And you're close to our nation's capital.
Yes, I am. Yes. I am.
So tell me what you guys do out at Doggy Zone.
Well, we work our butts off is what we do at Doggy Zone. Seriously, Andrew Fraser, who was a protege of mine, when he was a younger man and learning how to be a trainer. He's an entrepreneur. I'm not. I'm pure dog trainer. And he built this. When I decided to semi-retire, when I decided to close my business, Companions, which I ran for 35 years, Andrew invited me to come work out of his place up in near Frederick. And I went ahead and we had a little deal going on. His people answered my phones. I did the work and, we split the money. And then when he made the big move down to Rockville to build Doggy Zone, I came along with him and been there ever since. So great guy, real smart young man, very proud of him. He's got a daddy, but I still look at him a little bit like he's my boy. I kind of, what I'm trying to do for him is what your old man did for me. So,
he's a good businessman, and it's a beautiful facility.
Yeah, very, very good businessman. I got nothing but good things to say about him.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
I'm proud of him.
It's a beautiful facility, and the training program you guys are running, and you're going into a 5,000 square foot facility now, correct? Your own building?
Well, we Jess and I did a little math a while back. We're probably seeing, we run 37 classes a week, plus board and trains, plus privates. We're seeing upwards of 300 dogs a week on the training department.
That's awesome. Yeah, and it's you and Jessica primarily, and then you have some people.
Well, Jess, we have other trainers. We have Milton and Kayla and Shannon and who else? Karen, and we have another one coming up. Jen. So we bring them up. We've run through a bunch of trainers. It's a hard business, as you know. Yeah. And when you run as hard as I'm used to running, it's hard to keep up. And some trainers want to be rock stars right away, and then they don't understand that it takes a long time. And if they would stick with Uncle George, I told Jess when she first started, she'll tell you this. I said, stick with me, I'll make you famous. And she did. I ended up marrying her. So she definitely stuck in. So she's become a force of nature in the business. I'd put her up against anybody. I can't think of anybody that I wouldn't put her up against, training a owner and their dog.
Yeah.
So
she's good. Mm-hmm. We did get a question. I just want to digress a little bit, George. Yeah. Yannick, thank you so much for joining us. I would like to know how I can stop my dog from going crazy with males, but when it comes to females, he is very calm.
I'm going to channel Cap. Don't let him do that. So, look, I'm a big believer in, if you tell your dog to sit when they're acting a fool, and they don't sit, your problem, you have a sucky sit. Or you're in a position you shouldn't be in anyway. So, how does that dog know he's a male? Is it visual? Is it scent? If he's that close, maybe you're too close for right now. But I'm a big believer, and I'll always head for obedience first before I start attacking a mental problem. You have behaviors and you have emotional issues. You can't train emotion. So, you get the behavior. So, and I'm also a big fan of saying the following: don't take a drunk to a bar and then try to convince him to stop drinking. Okay. You're going to fail. So if Yannick, is continually taking the dog into this male thing, let him fire off and then trying to fix it right there, that's the wrong way to do it. Clean up the obedience and then start bringing the things in and then require that obedience. Once the dog has something else to think about, they can't really consider that other dog. If they're still considering the other dog, you got a focus problem. So, is he intact? I mean, there's a lot of information not in that post there or that question. Is the dog intact? Is the other dog intact? Is his dog kind of like, is his dog a male or a female? I don't have that, or her dog. I'm not sure. Yannick is a male or a female name, so apologies, but yeah, get that obedience squared away first, and then see if you really have a problem. What you'll find out, if you have a dog that's truly obedient and responding to you, most of these problems people ask me on a day-to-day basis just disappear without needing to be directly focused on.
So Yannick chimed in. It's a male. Oh, I think he meant from men and women. He goes crazy with men, humans. We're talking about.
Oh, okay. I thought he was talking about male, female dogs. See, that's where my brain always goes.
Yep, that's what I thought too. And it looks like he clarified that for us.
Right. Well,
it's
first
a husky
of all,
shepherd.
let's talk about a rescue dog. Okay. When you get a rescue dog, and nothing wrong with rescue, I've rescued a bunch over the years. Understand it's a crapshoot as to what that dog went through before. The rescue may very well give you a story to go with it. They're probably going to be wrong more times than not about the dog's history. You know, many people, well, I'm not wearing my beard these days because of these masks, but many people have told me their dog hates men with beards and hats. End up half hour later, dog's sitting in my lap, just hanging out. So one thing I'll advise Yannick is this. Don't get that into your head. Do not worry about what happened before the day you got that dog. It doesn't matter. It's pure conjecture on your part. So whether he was beaten by a man to within an inch of his life, it wasn't beaten by, for instance, this man. So sit still means sit, come means come. I would recommend, I always recommend training first and then see if you genuinely have a problem. Your dog can't light up and be sitting at the same time or healing or staying or whatever. And you don't have to beat him into it either. Train it and see how it goes. And then if it starts failing, you're in a zone there where you need to work more. But don't go full-fledged. Now, if the dog don't like him or her, I don't know. I still don't know if Yannick is male or female. I got a male-female picture here, and I don't know the name Yannick. So is there a husband involved? Is there a wife involved? The dog doesn't like, there's a lot to be questioned there. I'd be having a lengthy talk with Yannick.
So what would you tell Yannick or other viewers, George, because you're in Maryland, you're in Rockville. Yeah. And unfortunately they can't all go to Rockville, and I'm in New Jersey, and sure. They can't all come to Jersey. Where would you recommend somebody find a good dog trainer? How do they know they've found a good dog trainer?
Well, that's always first of all, don't worry too much about letters after the names. I'm certified 14 times over. I got 14 certificates in the hanging all over the walls at work. And they're all right. Yeah, I earned them, but find those well-trained dogs in your neighborhood and ask, hey, who are you dealing with? So word of mouth, first of all. Stay off the internet. I've read the whole internet. I've read the whole entire internet. And them people are crazy out there. So one of the biggest mistakes people tend to make is they get on the internet and then they see 4 or 5 different videos or something. And then they try all those different methods all at once. Poor dog's head wants to explode. So pick one and stick with it for a while until you complete that method. And then if you want to try something different, then go ahead. But give it a fair shot. I'm not a big method-based guy. People say, what method do you use? What method do you use? I use Uncle George's intuition and what it tells me to do with that dog right in front of me right now. So I have a pretty big toolbox. I can click with the best of them. I know how to use collars. I was there at the very beginning of this e-collar revolution that's out there. I was there at the very beginning, right there beside old Fred Hassan and Pam Green and all that bunch. I was there. Your father was at that first seminar. I was there too. There's a picture of him, me, Pam, and Fred Hassan floating out there.
Is it really?
So when people want to talk about those electronic collars, we were there when we were still changing tips to change levels. So I don't want to hear it. You know what I mean? Don't tell me about your new methods, because we were there that's the reason you even got one in your hand. So, and bless Fred Hassan for what he did for the game. And then at the same time, it's become somewhat of a curse in my opinion, the electronics. So anyway, there you go.
And how do you feel? I guess we'll get a little sassy here. How do you feel about the whole Petco and their stance on e-collars and their statement? What do you have to say to Petco?
I think Petco was foolish to do that. They alienated a bunch of people. That doesn't seem like smart business to me. If I was running Petco, and I was a top producer for PetSmart for several years. So I know that game. I know that whole big box store thing. If I was Petco, I'd have developed classes on how to use that stuff and sold it to the people and then taught them how to use it. That's just me. Same would go for any other tool they got. They could have a class for any one of those things, even a 1-hour class. $29.95. I'll teach you how to use that new little snoot loop you got.
Oh, Eric Udler. He's so kind.
Hey, Eric.
Happy New Year. I haven't seen you in a while, Eric. Thanks for tuning in. Very sweet.
Eric, he used to live right near me in Kensington. I don't know if he's still there or not, but Eric and I go way back. He had the Super Pet Expo. That got started by two of my customers before Eric ended up with it.
No kidding.
Two of my customers got so blown away at what we could do with their dogs, they started this Super Pet Expo thing. It's crazy. I wonder what they're up to these years.
I remember, I guess digital.
Yeah.
So we have a couple more questions, George. Okay, so Yannick asked, are you for e-collars or not, George? How do you feel about e-collars?
I'm for what the dog in front of me needs. And I'm not being evasive when I say that. I use e-collars. I'm one of the best there is with them, and I don't mind saying so. I also am very fond of free shaping. I do that all the time. All last week before Christmas, as just a bonus for all my private lessons, I taught their dogs how to ring bells, jingle bells, using free shaping just because I enjoy it. I look at the dog in front of me, so unless I'm looking at your dog, I'm not going to tell you what tool I'd use. Any trainer that says otherwise, I'm only going to throw a collar on them. I said, how are they making that diagnosis? That's a surgeon saying, I'm going to use this scalpel instead of this one. It hasn't even examined you yet. And they're all scalpels. The e-collars, the prong collars, everything's a scalpel. So
you can use it wisely or not so wisely.
Sure.
And then somebody asked, this is a question, I'll even answer this too, is how important is IACP membership?
How important is that? I think it's very important. Could they do better? Absolutely. I've been there. I've been on the board of directors. Hell, I don't know where it is. I got a button sitting up here in the garage.
Member of the year or something, weren't you?
What's that?
You were like member of the year or something like that?
Yeah. I'm in their Hall of Fame. But I was there from the beginning. My membership number is number 60. And I think I'm not going to say for sure. I think Martin started it off at number 10. So I'm one of the original 50 or so, give or take. Definitely one of the original 100. Been there ever since. It is a good organization. It has a good heart behind it. Here it is. I have my little button here. I'm an IACP ambassador.
Woo-woo! Yay, George!
Only a few people have those buttons, and I got 2 of them. I'm not as actively involved as I once was. I'm busy and old, and I really felt that other members should step up. And the only way to do that was to have these old buzzards like me step aside and say, no, you got to do it. I'm gone. Right. And that's why I stepped down from board. I got courted to be president there, and it's just not me. It's not who I am. So I didn't do that. But I think it's a very important organization. Who else is going to look out after you?
Mm-hmm.
They're trying, you know, and for 3,000 and some odd members, I'm not sure what the membership is these days, but there's plenty. Anybody complaining about what isn't getting done, I'll bet you if you just ask, somebody will take your help to help out with some of that stuff. I guarantee it. So I think it's important to have that. Let me tell you, just go to the conferences. You're going to learn so much at a conference, it's worth the price of admission and then some. Just any one of the conference, you know? So who says, these Valerie Anner and George were the first person to teach me the power of a treat and train. A manners minder, yeah, the electronic treat dispenser. Yeah, I'm a fairly positive dude, you know? So anyway.
So what would you tell somebody that, you know, you meet somebody, some kid takes your class at, you know, with their dog and he says, George, Uncle George, I want to be a dog trainer. What would you tell them to do?
Well, come on over. We'll put you to work. I'm going to hand you a shovel and you're going to scoop some poop for a while and you're going to just take a beating, you know, just a beating. No, not a physical beating, but, you know, I'm going to get on you. No, really. You're going to think I'm crazy, but the more dogs you have under your belt, the more you're going to learn. Expert, the word expert is derivative of what? Experience.
Mm-hmm.
So get those dogs under your belt. And if you got to jump on and train at PetSmart or wherever it is you can get those hands-on dogs, you're going to learn something. And I'm going to say something that's pretty controversial here.
I can say that here.
But I was with PetSmart from the beginning of PetSmart. Now, at the time, they hired professionals like myself to run classes. Over time, they took over and started dictating what tools could be used, what techniques could be used, couldn't be used. Okay, it's all good. It's fine. If a trainer training at a PetSmart, and you PetSmart trainers out there, listen up. If you can put out a dog that's reasonably trained with the way they tie your hands,
Mm-hmm.
I want to meet you, okay? Because you got some talent. Because they won't let you do this, they won't let you do this, you can't say this, you can't say that. And if you can still produce a good dog with all of that going against you, you're okay. You're going to be just fine. So get that experience. Listen to the old people. Like yours truly. Listen, new trainers are great, but, you know, we're all dying off. So you might want to grab that stuff. You know, it worked 40 years ago. What, you think it ain't going to work today? So, you know what I mean? So that's one of the things. Find yourself a mentor, a genuine mentor that gives a damn about what happens to you. And they're rare. And you have to go about it the right way to get that mentor to even want to spend time with you. Keep that in mind. I'll give anybody any bit of this knowledge up here they want. But don't come to me with attitude. You know, I'm going to send you packing down the street. You ain't that cute.
You know, I'm going to interject, you know, learning how to train dogs from my dad. You know, he's my dad, so he didn't know what he was talking about.
What was that?
He was my dad, so he didn't know what he was talking about. You know, my kids,
I know
what I'm talking about.
I get it. So.
And but you know, it was funny when I was starting out training on my own. Of course, I was always asking for advice. And you know, he'd tell me these things. I'd be like, "No, Dad, that's not true in this case." And it usually wasn't about the dogs I would argue with him about, but it was the people. Back in the day, you know, when I was new and I was willing to train, you know, anybody's dog for $5, even if it was.
You were a little old squirt too. I remember.
And, you know, and the older I get, George, the more right he was. And now it's funny that, you know, I'll get people will call and my girl that answers my phones, I'd look at her and I could just hear her end the conversation. I'm like, no, we're not dealing with this person. It's not the dog, it's the person.
100%. 100%. It's always the people. But here's another thing for those young trainers: if you ain't good with people, going down the street, you ain't gonna make no money.
No, that's very true.
Some of the best trainers on the planet that I've seen, as far as set of hands, are out flipping burgers and stuff because they couldn't deal with people.
Right.
You have to deal with people. So, and if you can't, just forget about it.
That is so true. Dawn said, "Don't train your next door neighbor's dog ever." Oh my gosh.
Correct.
That is so true. I had a neighbor back in the day when I was training dogs for like a nickel. She would watch me when I'd come home, and because I lived like in a little condo in West Palm Beach, and I'd come in at like 9 o'clock at night. She's ringing my phone. I'm like, oh my God, was she like standing at her window? Anyway, but that's true. Yeah. And here, Jessica's put it so well: long hours, hard work, low pay, demanding boss. That was my apprenticeship, but I know those were Cap's words. And you know what? It's true. And I know you've seen it. We get people that come in here for, dog training positions, and they think they're going to play with dogs all day. And it's like, no. And, our place is kind of like a country club when it comes to a lot of kennels, because we don't board dogs here overnight. So they're not coming in at the crack of dawn shoveling poop. They have that luxury.
They got it easier than they think. And then, you owe them a living. And let me tell you, that will not fly. And Jess will tell you, Jess apprenticed under me. Several other trainers have over the years. And I'm proud to say that people who have apprenticed under me have been successful. They're still in the business, and still making money at it. So, but Jess was, in my opinion, the one, she calls me Mr. Miyagi. So, no, she was the one where I saw that I could really make, Jess is who I'm going to leave this all to. So
that's awesome.
Now she's married to me. So now she can say she was married to me. So, remember Jack and Wendy Volhard, So I'm going to be Jess and George Cockrell.
Well, it's funny, like you're saying that you're leaving all of this to Jess. Many, many years ago, I could probably figure out exactly what year it was. It was in the early 90s, and I was out in LA visiting my dad. And, sometimes my dad would just say something like so off the cuff, and it would be like half under his breath, and I think he would say this stuff just to see if you were paying attention. And he said to me, "If I leave you with nothing else, I will have left you with a way to make a buck."
That's correct.
And
that's correct.
God bless him, he did.
Guess what he did? Man of his word.
We all want to leave us $10 million, and he didn't leave me $10 million, but it's okay because he left me a way to make a buck.
Right.
And it's something you can pass on.
You will never, you can take that anywhere you go. I know you've been around, you've been to Florida and New Jersey and New York, you've been all over the place, and you take that tool with you. It doesn't matter where. The biggest thing you have to worry about is the market you're walking into.
Exactly.
So
I'm going to give Esther Tenort a quick shout out. Esther, thank you so much for chiming in. She has the cutest little dog ever, Romeo. And I love him. And I hope you guys are doing well. Last I heard, I think, Esther, you're in North Carolina. And please give that baby boy a hug and a kiss for me. He's so stinking cute. And he's probably got to be about 6-7 years old now. So George, how would you say training has changed since you got started? 77 to now. I mean, how many decades are we, George? That's
February 14th will be the 44th anniversary. Yeah, I'm tired. Anyway, first of all, there's a dog trainer on every street corner now, it seems. When I started really in earnest and started making money at it, I probably can safely say there weren't 100 dog trainers in the country that were making a living at it. I would say that. I mean, 50 states, couple trainers here per state, and maybe a state or two with none. And, there were really professional dog trainers. And, but now, there's 3 or 4 dog training companies within 5 miles of us, and they're everywhere. Get on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
3,000 members of the IACP. What about the APDT and NADOI and all that, There are dog trainers coming out the woodwork these days. Now, whether they're good or not remains to be seen. Some of them are definitely proving it, and I really respect them. And others, I'm wondering what they are doing. What are they thinking? So, but there's dog trainers everywhere. People are afraid to tell the truth, it seems to me, these days. I am not, and it's cost me some over the years, but I will tell you the truth. Everybody wants to hide behind, we only use positive methods, but we starve our dogs to make them hungry so we can use positive methods, stuff like that. Making dogs do place for 4 hours a day, and come on, man. So everybody, I shouldn't use that word everybody, but plenty want to be, I call them internet famous. There's some good ones out there on the internet that I watch regularly, and then but every day I get 10, 12 notifications. Somebody's going live now with dog training info. We're doing it right now. A lot of people think I'm full of crap, so they're probably not watching, but
Julie wrote, I've tuned into this quite late. She's in the UK. Oh my gosh, it's like 2:00 in the morning. I couldn't agree more with what you're both saying. I've been a professional trainer for 35 years, and a line that I've used for many years is, there are many, many great dog trainers, but many are very poor people trainers, and they fail because of that. Loving listening to you. Well, we love having you, Julie. We're so glad you're here. Thank you for tuning in. And you get to welcome in 2021 before we do. I'm a little envious. We're going to kick this baby to the curb. It's funny you mentioned ethics. And I had this conversation with somebody just the other day, and I'm trying to think of what it was. And, I had a dog owner that came in quite some time ago. It was probably last year sometime. And she had this little puppy that she wanted to turn into a service dog for her child. And, all of her expectations were really kind of not realistic. And that was just with a good dog that was bred for this work. And she had gotten this dog from a place I would not purchase a dog from. I'll just leave it at that. And she brought the dog in, and in like 5 minutes, I was like, oh, this dog is a problem child. And I didn't put it to her this way, but this dog was a real problem child. And, she had left it for day school, and I called her up and I said, I can work with your dog and I'll be able to do this with your dog and the program you signed up for. But I'm telling you right now, your goals for this dog, it's not going to happen. And if it's going to happen, it's going to take you 8 years and thousands of dollars, and she got mad at me.
Sure.
And it was
talking about her child there, right. Believe it or not.
Exactly.
Yeah, you tell anybody the truth these days, and they get bent about their dogs the way they would if you're talking bad about their child.
Yep. And, and I felt badly upsetting her, but, that's the thing. You have to, it's a matter, you've got to be honest with people, and, she's like, well, I'll find another trainer. I'm thinking, yeah, I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will, but it's not going to be me taking your money.
It's funny, at least in our market, there's only 3 degrees of separation between me and every dog in the county, because I bend a lot of people's noses sometimes, and I don't mean to. It's only because I'm truthful and I'm doing them a service by telling them the truth, but they'll go down the street and they end up back over here, and I'm fixing problems. And it's all right. I never say I told you so. I don't. Just come on, let's get it done. And, but I believe you're talking about service animals. Having used a service animal, Big Tug, as a matter of fact, for a while there when my knees were shot, and I couldn't get up out of a chair. Service animals, I believe, are born. I really believe they're born and then shaped. Getting that right temperament. And I got news for you. You can't really tell that temperament with a 10-week-old puppy or whatever. You can't do that. You have to see how that dog develops. And I've seen plenty of dogs that were really good pets and everything else that couldn't be a service dog. They just didn't have the sand for it. So always keep that in mind, that the service dog industry is rife with fraud. And People come to me fairly constantly and want me to get their dog to do this, that, or the other thing. I'm saying that's unnatural. And, anytime you train a dog, half of it's unnatural acts, but they expect a service dog to be doing stuff that I'm good, man, but I don't think I can teach your dog to sense when your kid is going to have a temper tantrum at 3:00 and lay on his chest. I had a lady actually want me to do it. Want me to have the dog tackle the kid and lay on his chest. And I said, well, I can get him to take the kid down. That ain't no problem. Right? I can get him, drag him around the yard for a while if you want. But as far as sensing when he needs to do it, I don't know if I can do that for you. So anyway, yeah. So there's some really unreasonable expectations on what constitutes a service animal. We have to really know what's going on with that person physically. We have to train that dog to do tasks that may help mitigate that problem. Tug was easy, At the time, I'm 6'2". I'm down quite a few pounds now, but I was 250 pounds. I needed a dog that was big enough and strong enough to pull my big butt out of a chair or help me get up off the floor, even sometimes get out of the bed. He was built for it, and we had already built the obedience, so it really wasn't that hard to put a brace harness on him and tell him to come on over and then just pull, and he'd pull me up. That's all that needed to be done. And he got me out of aircraft. And, Tug was a big dog. He's probably a good 80 pounds. And he would be so quiet on those airplanes, flying all over the country, doing them seminars, that people were shocked when we were disembarking. They couldn't even believe there was a dog there. Now, every day I'm reading headlines, service monkey eats face off of the stewardess or something,
Yeah. That's that next to the service peacock.
Right, and the service peacock and all that. And I'm like, that dog would cram himself. I always got a bulkhead seat, but he'd cram himself, 80 pounds of golden retriever, and not encroach on the person sitting next to me. Yeah, that was genuine. But come on. What you see now. Read the headlines.
It's
like
I
said,
crazy.
The best one I saw was a service horse. I was like, what? So they had a little horse. I'm like, how big are you? You need a horse to pull you out of a chair.
That's true. I'd hate to have to take that thing for a walk down the street and shovel up after it.
Yeah. How do you empty it in between flights?
Yeah, right. Do you have the horse run?
All right. Yeah.
That is true. There was it's funny. We talked a little bit about my dad, being able to pick somebody up in like 30 seconds flat, how crazy they were or less. Yeah. And there was this woman I had spoken to a couple of years ago, and like 5 seconds in this conversation, I'm thinking, oh, this one's nuts. She wasn't a dog owner. She was a dog trainer. And just the other day, somebody sent me an article that the Attorney General is going after her because she was selling service dogs for thousands of dollars and they weren't producing. And I really wasn't surprised because I had heard other things about this woman. And I thought, I don't get it. How do people not see this woman's crazy? And not only is she crazy, now they're going after her legally because I forget, but it was thousands and thousands of dollars that she took off with other people's money and just screw them.
Well, here's how we handle it at Doggy Zone. We get these requests constantly. Mm-hmm. I do what's called the yard work. Like, we make sure that dog is squared away obedience-wise. Handle walking and dealing with other dogs and people and all of that stuff. And then I ship them up the road to Leslie Horton up in Frederick for that service dog work. I don't have time for it. And I don't ever want to claim that we're training service dogs. But I will send Leslie a squared away obedience dog that's up for the task. And if they're not up to the task, they hear it from me way before Leslie would ever have to waste that time.
Absolutely.
And so we don't do service dogs. I get all the time. I can make a lot of money just certifying service dogs, and I ain't doing it. You know, ain't doing it.
Could you imagine the amount of money they're making selling that sheet of paper for $19.95
Yeah,
online?
yeah.
I mean, what's your overhead? Like, here, you print the sheet out at
But
home.
do you want to know something? I ran Tug for I think 3 years as a genuine service animal, right?
Uh-huh.
I still have the harness downstairs. I had a big harness on him. He wasn't certified. He was just trained. I mean, there was no certification. I said, hey, I'm going to be traveling with a dog. I need the dog to help me in and out of the planes and stuff. Okay. My bank people all knew me for years. My banker or my local restaurateurs, they all knew me. So they knew my dogs. I didn't have to worry about it. So, you know what I mean? I took that dog everywhere. I mean, he and I were inseparable. And he wasn't a service dog. He was Big Tug, George's dog, you know. To help George get out of a chair or get up off the floor. So, you know, anyway, yeah, it's a big game and it's a shame. And I'm glad to see that now I've read that they're starting to lock some people up for using, you know, for faking it. I think that's awesome.
Oh, I agree. You know, every time you travel now, you see these people with these service animals, and you know, my daughter gets upset because she has a legitimate service dog and she's disabled. And you know, becomes anxious and worried because she thinks, oh my God, is that dog going to come up to us and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I was flying, what was it, last month? And this woman had her service dog with her. And, you know, the dog was cute, and I'm probably going to offend some people, but, you know, we're sitting there, and actually I had my daughter's dog with me because he needed to be on a flight, and so he needed some airplane training, and she wasn't on this trip with me. And this dog is like at the next aisle, and you know what? It was a nice little dog. Don't get me wrong. There was nothing wrong with the dog, but the dog is sitting up on the seat, and I'm thinking, why does this dog get the whole seat to itself? She didn't pay for it. And then, you know, every time the stewardess would come over, the dog's like kind of jumping up on the stewardess. And I mean, yeah, it was a little dog. I mean, I've seen worse behaved dogs, but he wasn't a service dog. And get him off the damn seat because the dog's going to leave hair there. And the
what
next person
disability was he mitigating is, you know, whatever. And I ain't buying the emotional, you know, the emotional support. Y'all can argue with me that all you want. That's if let me just go ahead and say it. If you're that messed up where you can't sit on an airplane without your dog, take the bus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, this emotional support stuff, I could see some people, I've seen some people genuinely benefited from that.
Absolutely.
But you and I both know that's become quite a game.
Yeah.
And I don't mind calling people on it.
That's the tragic thing about it. I remember, I think one of the first times a few years ago, I was flying, and you know, this guy is there with his service dog in the food place, you know, in the airport, and the dog has his paws up like on the food tray in like the buffet line, and I'm like, oh my God, like, come on, seriously, could you pretend your dog is really a service dog? Like,
yeah, a service dog should be invisible, in my opinion. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Definitely not putting his paws up on the food tray that like everyone's passing their food down the buffet line. Yeah. Anyway, we could talk about this all day.
Yeah, all night. So what else can we answer? Anybody? You got some? Didn't you say you had some questions?
Yeah, I do actually. Oh, and Barbara, I love George. I love George too, Barb. And you know, I'm a married man. I don't know if she was on yet, but didn't you tell people, dog owners, stay off the internet?
Yeah. Why are you on the internet?
I just want to make sure.
I did.
Don't get your dog training information on the internet. All right. So where am I? I've got a couple of questions. Okay. So I have this dog owner. They have a Malinois who's going on 2. He was neutered at 6 months. It's a male Malinois. Yeah. He was kicked out of doggy daycare the other day because they said he was too aggressively playing with another dog. He didn't hurt the dog, but he was too rough. Then last night, for the first time, I was walking him and he started lunging and barking at another dog. It's never been a problem before. He did stop when I told him to stop. He plays with my sister's dog and my girlfriend's lost him. It's never a problem. That's okay.
About to open a floodgate.
That's okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and lay this out there. Here's my opinion.
Okay.
First of all, I've been around since before all these daycares and dog parks. And I'm just saying this. And I work in a place that does daycare, but we do things differently. Okay. First of all, those people at that daycare should have told that dog to knock it off. Anyway, and made him do it. And that's what we'd do. Anyway, since the advent of dog parks and daycare, day-to-day daycare, I have seen, and I have plenty of dogs under my belt. It's over 23,000 to date. A huge increase in reactivity on the daily walk. Now you're going to ask me why, Uncle George. I'm going to tell you. People go to the daycare daily. And what do? They drop the dog off. The staff promptly lets the dog drag him into the pile of dogs. And they cut him loose and they play. And they have a ball. All day they playing. Every time they see dogs, it's party time. They do the same thing at the dog park. What do people do? They walk in the gate. They open the gate, cut the dog loose, and let them go have at it. Then, this is what the dog experiences. Now they go out and they want to go for a walk in the neighborhood. A nice quiet walk. All this dog knows is when he sees other dogs, it's like a rave. It's like an old Alice Cooper concert. So, here's what happens. Now, the other owner across the street, they're doing the same thing, by the way. So these dogs see each other, and they're like, hey, we're supposed to play because you're a dog, and whenever I see dogs, I'm supposed to pull and play and have a good time, and I'm supposed to enjoy it. Right? Mm-hmm. And they ain't letting them do that. So what's a dog do? He gets frustrated, pissed off. Mm-hmm. Now, here's the real good part. Now you're training the dog, right? So the owner on the other side's holding their dog back for dear life too. So now this unloads the front end of the dog, gets them high up on their toes, right? Got their head kicked up and back and all posture heading forward. And your dog is doing the same thing because you're holding back for dear life. Full oppositional reflex. What do you think those dogs see across the street from one another? Huh? If you were loading up for an attack, to turn loose, your dad knew that stuff. You're loading the dog up. How would it look? Let me at him. Right, let me at him. And then what do? You let go, right? So every day, these dogs are getting trained to party whenever they're with dogs, and then then the owners don't let them when they're out, and then they're coming to us and paying us a lot of money to say, my dog's leash aggressive. The dog ain't leash aggressive. He's frustrated as hell. Why don't you tell him to heel? And once again, that's where I go to obedience, okay? If your dog's on a heel, he sees another dog and he's acting up, you tell him to heel or, I don't know, come, let's go, whatever you want. And he ain't doing that, you shouldn't be on that walk. Speaking of which, what if I told you that I discourage the neighborhood walk? You want to hear why?
Because they do it wrong.
I'm sure you do.
Of course they do.
You know I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
So this is something we preach constantly. In training, okay, this is early training, okay? You just came to me. I actually discourage the neighborhood walk. And why is simple. It's an uncontrollable gauntlet of distraction. You have zero control over it. Birds, squirrels, rabbits, kids on bikes, neighbor walking their dog that's been to the dog park. Dogs barking at the fence, dogs barking at the window. Your neighbor Bob with the blow dryer, the
leaf blower.
Yeah, leaf blower. And you're trying to train a dog to walk with you through that? What are you, stupid? Okay, so serious business. We discourage it. We recommend that you train the dog. I like long line work, a la Bill Keeler, until that dog is squared away in an open area. Now, why do I want you out in an open area? Consider this. I take them out to a field or schoolyard or hell, even a parking lot if required. Out in the middle of that, the scent pool is very shallow. Most critters don't hang out in the middle. They're vulnerable. Most people, if you watch them, don't hang out in the middle of a field as a rule. They tend to skirt the edges a little more. Mm-hmm. So now our scent pool is shallow out in the middle of a field. Okay? Shallow as it's going to get. Okay? Birds, squirrels, rabbits, chipmunks, kangaroos, or whatever else you got, they're going to leave if they're there in the first place, and they ain't coming back while you're there. So we minimize that issue, and you can see what's coming. Mm-hmm. Here comes Mary Sue and her dog. Now you can retreat and keep your dog under threshold and keep them training. Or if your dog's doing well, hey, why don't you go see how she's doing? But you have control over that. Remember, I'm talking to you from the point of view of a dog trainer, not a dog holder honor.
I love that.
So, you know what I mean? So, until your dog is squared away and can go see Mary Sue's dog, I don't recommend you go walking in your neighborhood. Where are you going to go if you got to retreat? Straight back? Yeah. You're back into opposition? You can't go out in the street. You can't run off into the neighbor's yard. I guess you could, but there's a dog at the fence barking there. You ain't training nothing on that neighborhood walk.
Yeah.
In my opinion. What's the number one complaint we get as dog trainers? Where's it happening? Neighborhood walk.
Yeah.
Right? So I actually discourage it. And it's it doesn't come across that popular with people. You see them squirming in their seats. Well, I'm still telling you the truth.
Yeah, you are.
That's right. Do you want to hear something? I'm not kidding you. I'm not exaggerating you in any way. I have not taken any of my dogs, and you've seen how well trained they are, on a neighborhood walk in over 35 years.
That's a long time.
That's right. You know why? I got a piece of property. I can run them. I can work them. I can keep them mentally fatigued. Right? And they're healthy. And my dogs are healthy. They're hard.
Absolutely.
They look good. But I don't need the neighborhood walk to do that. Yeah. And then you get this one. But I want to go on the neighborhood. I want to go on a walk. Well, go ahead. Leave a damn dog at home.
Yeah.
I want to go to the dog park. Well, go ahead. Leave the dog at home if he's not doing well at the dog park.
Yeah.
It's more about what the owner wants versus what the big picture is for the dog.
You're absolutely right.
Average dog going to see, 13, 15 years, some even older than that. You spend a little time, you'll have 13, 12 years of fantastic dogdom. Mm-hmm. If you spend the time early instead of being such a hurry to go show off your puppy, right? And then take him to the dog park constantly, And listen, I want to say something else about that daycare. It's a necessary thing these days. If you're going to do daycare, okay, if you're going to do daycare, like take your dog to daycare, which is necessary, people just don't have time. Make sure the outfit knows what they're doing with those dogs versus having a bunch of teenage kids who were working at Starbucks last week looking out after these dogs. Our people that, our daycare staff are incredibly trained. We're constantly giving them tips and pointers on how to deal with that. They monitor. Dog-is-Own was born of dog trainers, not of people that wanted to. Right. They're coming to get you.
They are.
Yep.
My house is on fire. I gotta go.
But like at Dog-is-Own, our model is born of dog trainers. Andrew and I, Andrew built it, but I'm there. I've been with him shoulder to shoulder. So is Jess.
Right.
Built a dog trainer. So our brain is always looking at those dogs' behavior and how to help with that and help minimize those problems that most places will send home. So I'm not saying don't do daycare. I want to make sure we're completely clear on that. But make sure they're not just, cutting your dog loose and praying for the best.
Right. You're absolutely right.
So anyway.
There's
what else you got?
See, was there another question that came in? I was looking to see if any more people posted questions.
I see Faye Kelly wrote in, Nikki Ford, which is one of our clients, and Big Max, the boxer, Rick Alto. That's all I see. I don't see any questions.
Yeah, I don't see any more questions. I'm looking to see. I thought I had a second question that came in, but I don't seem to have it on my notes. I'm trying to think of what it was. But anyway, it'll come to me. Okay, so where do you think dog training is going, George? We'll start to wrap it up, but where do you think the future of dog training is or going, where it's going to be?
I think it has potential of creating fantastic lives for dogs and their owners. If the wheat gets separated from the chaff, once people, the average dog trainer, new dog trainer lasts maybe 4 years in the business in our market. We start seeing new, flyers and business cards and stuff, and then they're gone.
Right.
Because once the truth gets out that what they're not producing, they get some money off some people and people aren't happy, they tend to disappear. Once that, hopefully someday that a lot of that gets eliminated and the true dog trainers are still there, and then it'll be great for everybody. But as long as anybody sitting in their mama's basement can throw out dog training advice, I think we have a problem. I don't have a solution other than people like me that will just beat the truth into the ground. The old timers aren't afraid to do that. I'm at a place in my career I don't have to worry about what anybody says about me. I got leashes older than most of them. You know what I mean? So, I'm at that. I'm blessed in being that part of my career that I've made my reputation. I feel I've done well. I've treated people well. At least I like to think so. I hope they think so. But any young trainers, I don't want to discourage new trainers coming into the business. I don't want to do that because there's some talent out there. I'm sure of it. I just want to make sure they follow the right path, the way of the ninja, whatever you want to call it. Your dad and that crack he made about me having Mushin back then, stuck with me to this day. And new dog trainers have new stuff to offer us. I'm watching them, and I'll steal from them when I can. But I'm, like I said, I don't want to discourage any trainers. I want to help them along. But they got to apprentice. You know what I mean? They got to learn from a mentor. It ain't gonna come from a book, I ain't never once had a book jump up and try to take my arm off. I ain't never had a book do that. You know what I mean? So, that book, the best thing you can do with that book when that dog's coming up the leash is jam it in his mouth, So.
But your timing isn't going to be good, so you're going to miss.
Exactly right. So, I ain't had a dog say, "Yeah, I read that chapter." And I'm not discouraging reading books too. Listen, I got a huge library. I'm a big believer, but there's some questionable stuff out there, and bless you if you can wade through all of it and find a way. So
that's
anyway,
great.
Here's Dawn again. So you have any more questions on that sheet?
No, I think that's it. One of my students, Lester, put in there. My one last question for you.
Yeah.
What would you tell dog owners? What do you think the biggest problem is that dog trainers, or the biggest mistake dog trainers make? I don't know
dog trainers or dog owners?
I'm sorry, dog owners.
Okay. The biggest mistake dog owners make is they have unrealistic expectations. Okay? They are in a hurry. They get a dog for maybe the wrong reason. You know, a lot of people get dogs just to fill some kind of a void, you know, some social void they have. I'm not a psychologist. I ain't going there, but, you know, they get a dog and they treat it like a child and then wonder why the dog's treating them like a dog.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, so, yeah, find yourself a good trainer and don't just, the questions here, how much? Come on. Right. People, you know, always price based, and we have to, you know, we're business people. We have to price and not price ourselves out of the market. But your old man gave me the best advice I ever had. When we met, he told me to double my rates. I was worth it. And I was like, oh my God, I'll be out of business. I doubled my rates on his advice over the internet. Did not lose a customer and doubled my income.
Yeah.
Overnight.
Yeah.
I went and doubled it again.
Yeah.
And still didn't lose anything. And I'm not talking about, you know, taking people's money, but evidently I was worth more than I was charging. So don't go by price, okay? I promise you, if you pay me, I don't know, let's say $100 for an hour lesson, okay? And I charge a little bit more than that, but you pay me $100 and you pay somebody else in our market, because I know most all the trainers in our market, $100. I promise you're going to get a lot more for your $100 on my end. Yeah. I guarantee you. You're going to get a lot more experience, a lot more good advice. You're going to get a lot more performance. So don't go by price, okay?
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, don't. Okay, it's foolish. It's a small investment when you think about it. Mm-hmm. You take 15 years. Let's say you charge somebody, $1,500 to train their dog or something, which isn't out of the realm of reality. Okay, $1,500, 15-year-old dog. That's $100 a year investment.
Yeah, that is.
You know what I mean? That's no money at all.
No.
I paid that much on spark plugs this week. You know? So, so don't get stuck on look at the trainer, look at those reviews. I mean, I'm not a technical guy, but reviews are good. People, someplace where they're legit.
Right.
You know? And at Dog Is Known, we were on like a 4.8 on like Facebook, you know, like whatever, or Google reviews. We're like 4.8 out of 5 with like, I don't know, 500 or 600 reviews. That's important because we don't hide any of that, good or bad. Now, why aren't we 5%? Because ain't nobody going to be happy.
No, it's true. You can't please everybody.
You know, like I said, you're not gonna satisfy everybody, not with those kind of numbers.
No, absolutely.
And I pissed a bunch of them off myself, you know. But again, just told them the truth, and they went down the road and wrote a review, and there's nothing I can do.
No.
You know.
No,
but,
we get
4.8 out of 5 with 500-600 reviews.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good, yeah. So. You know, if they have 5, you know, if they have a 5.0, but they have 2 reviews.
Grandma and Mom wrote in.
Exactly right. Exactly. So anyway.
You know, I had a thought and I lost it, but so you had a couple of your friends here. I shouldn't say. Well, yeah, your clients, your friends.
Yeah, they're friends.
Friends that clients that became friends.
Let me say this about friends, Babette. Let me say this about friends with me. Okay? Everybody's my friend. The day I meet you, you're my friend. It is yours to screw up. I will be your friend. You know what I mean?
That is true.
It's entirely up to you how it goes from there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I see that in you too, because you're just you're a good man. Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what that one thought was that I had, but it went out of my head. I guess it wasn't that important.
That's a dog trainer thing.
Oh, I know what it was. Yeah, I'm a little ADD. Yeah. You know, I don't answer the phones really anymore, but when people get a hold of me, you know, and they say to me, you know, how much, I encourage them, don't ask how much, ask what you're going to get for your money. You can have 6 lessons with me, or you can have 6 lessons with the guy down the street, and just exactly what you said. What am I going to accomplish in 6 lessons, and what's the guy down the street going to accomplish in 6 lessons? And and I'm glad you brought up the part about being foolish with your money, because we're closed this week, and my girl came in to check the phones. We had 2 phone calls from people today that I spoke to. One of them a year ago, and the other one I had a meet and greet probably before the pandemic. They both went to other places, and guess what? The problem got solved. And my husband said to me tonight, "Oh, that wasn't smart on their part, because now it's going to cost them more money because our rates went up." I'm like, "Yep."
So here's something your old man used to say. Okay, this is straight from your daddy. He used to say, if somebody says, well, so-and-so can do it for this price, your dad would say, well, I'm sure they know how much their time is worth.
Yes, he would say that.
Yes, he would.
Absolutely
and there you go. Went to another dog school before. And, well, that's good. Hey, listen, Rory, we're raising the rates like Friday. Are you
going to double them?
Yeah, we'll probably grandfather a couple in there. I don't know. That's up to Andrew. I don't mess with the money. I don't care about the money. As long as I can feed my family and, play with my hot rods a little bit, I'm content. So, but I let them collect the money. I tell them how much it's probably going to cost. I make deals and get the accounting department mad at me all the time. And it's a George deal. Just do it.
Yeah. So this lovely girl, Julie, from our friend over on the other side of the pond, who's still watching us an hour later, and we'll finish up with her question, but it's definitely worth acknowledging. So interesting what you say about charging. I've often over the years been told that I should put my prices up, but I feel so guilty worrying that others won't be able to afford to have their dog trained. How do you deal with that?
I'll tell you how I deal with it. I deal with it by not having any guilt about it. Okay, guilt is wasted time. Now, what was her name again? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Julie. Sorry.
Julie. So, Julie, I'll bet you if you got deep in the interview with those people, you would find out they're spending upwards of $10 to $20 a day on Starbucks and donuts and McDonald's for lunch. And God knows what else. Okay? $20 a day. Times, let's say 30 days in a month. That's $600. Okay? Times 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
You doing the math?
Mm-hmm.
They can afford you.
Absolutely.
Okay? And I got news for you, too. I want to just temper this a little bit. I'm a giving soul. If I think somebody needs me and they can't afford it, and I know they need me, and I know I can help them, I'm not going to do it through the business. But let me tell you what, I'm going to spend some email time or some phone time, and I'm going to do whatever I can to help them out. Okay? But you have a roof to keep over your head. You got a family to feed. And if you're not taking care of yourself financially, you cannot afford to take care of somebody else either.
Right.
So get your business in thing, raise your rates. I'm going to channel Cap. Okay. Cause this is exactly the verbatim what Captain told me. Mm-hmm. Julie, double your rates. If you lose half your business, you'll be making the same money with half the work.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And you will have time to help those people you think are so needy.
Yep. And you're saving their dog's life. There's a price to be paid for that.
So I hope Julie gets that message, because that was a life changer from your dad to me. Verbatim. Mm-hmm. He got on me on the telephone and jumped my case for, I think I was charging $75 for a private lesson in home at the time. And this is back, God, Cap's been gone, what, 10 years?
No, it's going on, let me do the math, 14. It was just 14.
14 years.
14
so
and a half years.
This is well before he got sick.
Yeah.
And he told me to do that. I was out there charging $150 an hour for in-home lessons and didn't lose a customer.
Yeah.
Overnight. So, Julie, don't have that guilt. Bump your rates up. Everybody else does. You been to McDonald's lately? I went to McDonald's the other day with the boy, because I've been off, so I took him to McDonald's, right? Damn, double quarter pounder with cheese costs like $6.
Damn.
Yeah. They jumped their rates up. Man got to eat. Double your rates. Yeah. So, but anyway, that's what I would advise Julie. Like, do whatever you feel good. But I'll bet you, I don't know. She was the one from England, correct?
Yes.
I don't know about how much a pound is versus $1. But if she's charging £2, she ought to be charging $4. And then look at your market. Okay, did it kill you? All right, so charge $3. You're still ahead of the game.
Absolutely.
So that's what I'd recommend.
Yeah. Okay. She says, thank you for your encouragement. I'm really going to step up to this. Good, Julie. I'm glad to hear it. I want to hear about it.
Get on it. Give her my phone number. I'll talk to her.
All right. Yeah. Friend us on Facebook, Julie. Please do. Jessica. Okay. Oh, John. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. George, tell the story about the nickel from the cap. Is it still on your computer?
Well, if Jess is still listening, Jess, bring me that. I have a nickel. I have a lot of things from your father, but I have a nickel that's on a piece of paper in his handwriting. I don't know if she hears me and she can bring this out so I can read the inscription. Your dad, as you well know, was prone to not exaggeration, but yeah.
There's the nickel.
I got it right here. Here's the light. So this is from Cap in his his wonderful handwriting, correct? It's
yes,
atrocious.
I do.
Okay, now it says here, stop hounding me about the Jindos. Here's your nickel, Cap. Okay, that's what it says, and there's a nickel taped to it. It's right there. This is true. It's Cat. Look, there's Cat. You know your dad's handwriting. I don't know if you can see that. All right. Now, let me tell you the story about that. Cap threw out a bet one night. He was feeling rather froggy on the internet, just back during the email things. And he had a Jindo in for training, and he was touting about what a rare breed it is and how most of us lowly other dog trainers have never even seen one, let alone knowing what one would look like. And he bet. He says, I'll bet you a nickel none of you have even seen one.
You had one in for training.
I had, in my PetSmart group class, I had a litter of 8 all in the same class.
No shit.
I had 8 Jindos in one class. So I got on, I had a field day with Cap on that one. I said, I only got 8 in right now. And I sent him a picture.
That's hilarious.
Of me with 8 Jindos in one class.
That was called luck.
It was perfect timing. And I deserved it. I deserved this nickel. I won that bet.
You won.
And this sits on my desk to this day. So how old is that?
Oh, that's old.
Just went down to my desk. I have a little office desk downstairs. That stays there along with some old business cards of Cap's, a check that he wrote me that I never cashed for $75. I'm serious. I got a check down there stuck to the wall for $75.
No, okay. What did he pay you $75 for? Because I know he didn't bet. He didn't bet more than a nickel.
No, he only bet a nickel. But Captain had worked really hard to set up. It was a dinner, a special dinner. I think it was at Westminster. It was somewhere, some doggy, like he wanted a certain invited bunch to gather.
That. I think it was at the Dog Raiders dinner. I think I have a picture of
something.
That.
And he invited me, which again, I don't know what I did to your dad that made him treat me like he did, but he treated me well. Anyway, we all sent in money, to get a seat. To a table or whatever, private table. And it didn't go through. Like, it didn't work. Like he couldn't get it done. and he sent me my money back. He wrote me a check. I got it. I'm serious. It's downstairs on the wall right now. It's Captain Haggerty, whatever. Had a picture of the camera on his check. And I just never cashed it. I let Cap keep it. You know what I mean? If I had $1 million, I'd give it to him. You know what I mean? He meant that much to me. So if he needed it, and he didn't need it, I'm sure, but I never cashed that check. I just prefer having a check from Cap Haggerty. That's worth more than me than the $75.
Yeah. He always liked to pay his bills. He didn't like owing people money, for sure.
No. But like I said, it's down there. I'm sure it drove him crazy wondering where that check was. It's still sitting on my wall to this day. I don't know. Hey, Jess.
Would you check?
I don't know if that check's. Yeah.
Check?
I forget. I don't know what the date is, but anyway, it's probably, I don't know, 2002 or something, 2003 something. Yeah.
That's
so,
cool.
But anyway.
Well, George, I would love to talk to you all night, but I got to get back
home.
I
had hoped we'd have more problems to solve together, but I don't mind. I'll just talk dogs with you all night.
I'll talk dogs with you any night, and I'll send you all the problems. But I'd love to have you on here again.
Anytime. Anytime.
Awesome.
Listen, I work nights. Jess works the day shift. I go in the afternoon and work till night. But if you don't mind doing late stuff, I'll certainly sit around and talk dogs with anybody. Yeah. Especially you.
I would love that. We'll have to do it again. And next time I'm down there in your neck of the woods, and I'll probably be down there again soon.
Well, door's open. I heard your boy's down here in Beltsville, right?
Yeah. He's down there.
Should I go over there now? You think I should go over there and hassle him a little bit?
Well, I was bugging him to get a job. He got a job at this one place, and he was supposed to start yesterday. He's 19, so he just needs like a minimum wage job right now. Yeah. And they called him and they said, no, we can't start you. You're gonna have to wait until next week or something. So he's looking for other jobs. It's not really the best time to look for a job.
Does he listen? I'm not kidding. I owe your daddy more than anything. If that boy can make it, I'll bet you I could arrange, at least for an interview over at Doggy Zone.
Okay,
and he'll get an education there. I mean, it's a little bit of a drive.
Yeah.
Probably a good half hour, or more, a little more. But I promise you it'd be well worth it. You know what I mean? For education purposes. I ain't going to talk about pay. That's not my department.
Right. No, it should be, he just needs minimum wage and he needs to pay his dues. And he worked, he worked in a daycare in the city. The AKC had these canine retreats and unfortunately they shuttered. But anyway.
Listen. If he's interested, listen, I don't recommend anybody for jobs, but he's one in particular where I could probably put a little bug in Andrew's ear for a hire. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then if he screws up, then I can just beat him up.
Yeah, I'd beat him up too. Trust me. He's a really good kid.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Anyway, well, thank you guys. We got all these Happy New Year's. Charles, great to see you. Thank you. Dawn, Happy New Year. Les, thank you for the great show. We really enjoyed having you, Les. So thanks for joining us. All right, George, I will talk to you soon. Love to Jessica and your cars.
Yep. I don't know if you see them. The right behind me here. There's a Nova.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Here's one of them.
So I want to thank everybody. I'm probably going to start doing some interviews. I'm doing my Q&As on Thursdays at 1:30. But I just enjoyed this so much. And I started thinking after you and I spoke, I'm like, oh, I should have this person interview that person and interview that person. So I think I'm going to really grow this and do more. So just follow the Haggerty Dog Training page or me on Facebook, and we'll let you know about it.
There's lots of people I'd love to see you interview.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely. I'd love to hear some of your ideas. So, but anyway,
I just want to see the fight. So.
oh, that's a whole other.
I'll sit back here and crack a beer and watch you. So, no, there's a lot of trainers I love watching and seeing their insights and stuff. There's more than not, but there's some out there that. I don't know. I was thinking about interviewing one or two of them myself.
Well, that would
see how it goes.
We could have like 3 or 4, 5, 6 on here and have people write in and we can all give them our own answers.
No, we'd break the internet.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah. All right.
All right, George, my love, thank you so
All
much.
right. Bye, sweetie.
Have a wonderful
Talk to you
New
soon.
Year's. Happy New Year, everybody. Be
All right.
safe and let's all kick 2020 to the curb and have a wonderful 2021. Thanks,
Excellent.
guys. Have a
All
great
right.
night. Take care. Bye.